the Stanley Cup Final tonight at Rogers Place. Your Edmonton Oilers taking on the Florida Panthers. Can the Oilers grab a 2-0 series lead? Here's what we expect from the Oilers in terms of how they're going to line up, at least to start the game. McDavid with Nugent Hopkins and Perry. Draisaitl with Kane and Kapanen. So McDavid and Draisaitl split up, at least to start, probably, or that's a smokescreen. Henrique with Frederick and Brown. Janmark with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Defensively, Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Kulak, Wallman, Klingberg, and, of course, Stewart, Skinner in net. Hope you're having a great Friday. What a weekend we got here. Man, oh, man, a Stanley Cup final game in Edmonton tonight. The Edmonton Elks play a road game tomorrow against BC to start their regular season and what a lot of us are hoping is a new era for the team. But the focus on this show, of course, will be your Edmonton Oilers, along with Joaquin, Gage. I'm Reid Wilkins, as we are each... I guess, who's filling in for who? Am I filling in for Dustin and you're filling in for Tom, or is it the other way around?
What show is this? I
think this is the Oil Stream. We were just told to be here. Go into that room at noon and talk.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've only been on the Oil Stream a handful of times, I think. This is like, I want to say like only my third time on here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this is great.
We're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time. That's pretty much for sure. Tell you what. We're happy to hear from you today. If you got a question, comment, concern, humorous anecdote about the game or something you want to share, you can text 780-218-9999. You can also post in the Nasty Chat. That's the stream on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up there as well. Our show, let's see if we can get to 100 thumbs over the course of the lunch hour here. And of course, if you're on one of the audio streams, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, we appreciate that as well. EdmontonSportsTalk.com. So here's what we have for the rest of the day. This show until 1, from 1 to 3 EST afternoons with Hernan Salas and Joaquin Gage. Starting at 3 o'clock, it's my show, the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne. That goes until 5 today, usually until 6, but on a game day, we're going until 5, because at 5 o'clock, it's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola, who will be back for that, with Hernan Salas. And Gage, you're on that as well.
Yes.
So you're busy today, and then they got the post-game show as well, which I'll join you guys as well. So man,
Friday,
we're just flying. We're just flying here, and then that's all surrounding all the fun stuff. And Tom's in the Ice House right downtown in the plaza. So nice. Incredible time for Edmonton Sports Talk. Okay, we'll touch on. I guess maybe that was the only thing about the line combos today. Was he going to start, quote unquote, nuclear or whatever you want to call it? It appears that they will not start the game that way.
That's great. I think it keeps the other team on edge, right? I mean, it's funny how this time of year they get together and everyone's kind of loves when they put them together now, instead of, they can't win if they're all together. They need balanced scoring, but there are certain cases, certain times that, Nabla just seems to, when playoffs come around, the buttons he pushes always seem to work out quite well for this team. So, and I like them apart to start. And there's going to be points of the game, I think, where you try to get them together. The one thing they were talking about the broadcast last game, and I think it worked out a little bit beneficial at times, but what do you think of putting Connor out there sparingly on the PK?
Okay, I'm glad. Okay, so people will remember I hated it.
Yeah, I know.
I hated it. Yeah. When he started doing it. Did he start against LA? I think it might have started a little bit against LA. I hated it, but now that I've seen it, I understand it.
Yeah.
And I said this to Iwanek. We were sitting together. We were moved in the press box, but we're still beside each other. I said this during game one, and I said, I'm still not a fan of Connor killing penalties, but I'll live with it in the postseason. I do not want to see it in the regular season.
Yeah.
I honestly feel this is maybe just a playoff tactic, because I think that, here's my quote-unquote problem with it. The risk of shot blocking, all that kind of stuff, okay? I know Nuge kills penalties. Like, there are other good players, so that's a risk for everybody. My concern with it is that if Connor McDavid is on the ice, even though we know that they can play defense, his instinct is to grab the puck and score a goal. Now, he has become, though, an absolute penalty killer. When he was getting put out there against LA, they were behind. So he was thinking, okay, well, I'm not here to kill the penalty. I'm here to steal the puck and score on a shorthanded breakaway. But now I think that he's used regularly. His mindset is, okay, my first responsibility is to kill the penalty. And if I get a chance, which he has had a couple, I mean, he is a threat when he gets the puck, then he can go the other way. So, and my other slight gripe about it, and let's face, I'll admit, everybody, most of my gripes have been proven wrong about it because is he doing a good job? I don't know. Their PKs are very good. I don't know how many he's been out there for. But for the people who have killed penalties in the NHL, and our buddy Jason Schmerer is one of them, you always hear it is about stopping and starting. Get some, like, okay, now I get, but it's exhausting. That's why they change every 20 seconds if they can. Connor McDavid's instinct is to never stop. I mean, he's just a roaming predator in the defensive zone trying to steal the
great white
puck.
shark.
So that's like, but it's been okay. I'll live with it in the postseason. In the regular season, I actually would prefer not to see him in the PK rotation.
Okay. So the eye test shows me I guess it would be his offensive instincts and his ability to read the play defensively on the power play are actually, he looked not bad. Like he made some plays that required the Panthers to adjust a little bit, I thought. And it just, I remember you saying that, Reid. So that was we talked before and I just completely blanked, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about. So too many pucks to the head. I don't know. And so they reminded me of, I did a Pro-Am tourney with Mike Modano, and Mike Modano said they were talking to him and interviewing him about with Ken Hitchcock, and because Mike Modano started killing penalties, and Hitchcock said, you got to get in the shooting lane. And Mike was like, look, man, I'm Mike Modano. The speed is my thing, right? My jersey flaps as I skate here. I don't want to hurt myself. And then they said, Mike, no defenseman on the planet, if you come out in the shooting lane, is going to want to hit you in the shin pads with the puck because they know they're going to give away a breakaway the other way. So that's the first thing in my mind. If Connor's out there and gets in the shooting lane, well, if he blocks this, he's gone the other way if it goes the other way on me. So there's a little bit of, I guess, with Connor McDavid out there circling, like you said, the shark in the water, causes a little bit of hesitation to maybe try that one pass that might be intercepted because you're not going to be able to catch this guy. Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I don't think he was on for the goal.
I don't think so.
I didn't bring the game sheet in, but it is interesting. And that's a good point. Are you going to block a shot, or are they going to be afraid to try to shoot through you or make a dangerous pass when McDavid could possibly pick it off? That's a good point. I'm living with it. Well, I mean, there are 3 wins from the Stanley Cup, so clearly I can't really say that it's been costing them games. This, of course, is the Oil Stream. We are presented by Boston Pizza, which is a great partner here at Edmonton Sports Talk. We're talking about Tom Gazzola and the Oil Stream being on location. So Monday for Game 3, he's going to be at Westgate BP, which is not far from our shop here in Mayfield. That's the one right by the mall. I think everybody knows that one. We always have great turnout there. They got great specials for the games. So that's the deal with for Game 3 on Monday. Okay. So the Oilers are not expected to make any lineup changes. We'll see what they do with the lines. I do think that is, though. I mean, first of all, the McDavid Draisaitl together option is a pretty nice one to have, and it used to be done by previous coaches because there was really nothing else at all. I mean, the change last game was swapping Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. And it wasn't really a comment, I don't think, on the bottom 6, because I thought the Janmark line had pretty good game. The Henrique line maybe not as good, but they're still fine. Mm-hmm. So it's almost as if Knobloch was just saying, okay, we didn't have a great second period. Let's just change something. Here's a pretty easy change to make, and here's an easy change that can frighten the other team. But the beauty of it is you're not really weakening any other line. I mean, putting Nugent Hopkins with Kane and Kapanen doesn't deplete the second line like it might have years ago. Like I remember when the Oilers lost to the Jets when they got swept in 21. Yeah, it was a close series, but they lost. And Tippett wound up going with Draisaitl and McDavid together most of the time. And I remember talking with Rob after we were doing the postgame show after they got swept, and I said, the Oilers don't even really have a third line. Like they and Rob was like, you know what, Reid? If Draisaitl and McDavid are together, I'm not sure they have a second line. It's still Nuge with whoever else they're trying to put together. So the whole tone of how the lines are together changes, though, because they have, at the very least competent and in many cases good players in slots 7 through 12 for the forwards.
Yeah, and I just think it's a game of feel from a coaching standpoint too. And you alluded to it. This is a different team with depth throughout. Like you almost have, for the better part of most teams, your second line could be a number one line on another team,
right?
And when you really look at it, it's 2/3 that you have. There's not but you could look at Florida and it's kind of similar, right? So, but yeah, I think these are two really good coaches that know their teams quite well. There'll probably be a lot more. I'm guessing here. I think there'll be a lot more shifting of players from line to line because really we didn't really. I mean, Barkov was good, but maybe injecting someone else with him, or Tkachuk wasn't his best game, right? I think we'll probably see him affect the game a lot more. So we'll probably see those guys jumping with different players, I think, just to try to get something from them.
Yeah, and as we saw, Corey Perry doesn't play as many minutes. Brown played up there a little bit last game with when Draisaitl and McDavid are together. So things change around, but that's how they're starting. From a Florida perspective, I listened to Paul Maurice's availability this morning, and he was asked about that they actually blew a lead, so to speak. Like he'd never, as the Panthers coach, he'd never lost a lead after 2 periods, lost a game in which they were up after 2. And he's always interesting because he goes, okay, we were up 3-2 with 14 minutes left and Ekholm scored. He's like, he kind of said, I don't really view us as having the lead at that point because the game is so close and there was so much time left. And then he was, the tone of the question was also sort of, stylistically, how do you play when you're ahead or behind? And he said, you can't play that much different. Like he said, if a team drastically changes how they play, based on the scoreboard, they're probably not a very good team. Now, of course, it's kind of interesting the way he said it. But
what a shot at the Kings.
Yeah, well, good point. But you've been there. Like, I don't know, do teams actually, guys, totally change the or is it just more decision making when you're ahead versus behind?
Yeah. So the management of the game is different if you're up at the end of the game opposed to being up by the same margin at the start of the game. There's so much more time left, and that's probably what Maurice was alluding to. Like it wasn't official lockdown mode at that point, right? We were still trying to. I think both teams, one of their greatest assets is their ability to still look for those insurance markers late and put the game away, like we saw with the Panthers against the Carolina Hurricanes. Third periods, they just blew the doors off them, right? Like they made sure they didn't give them a hope. And even in Toronto, the last games there, they sent fans home early in all those games. So no, I think you would have. If they have a 3-2 lead with 5 minutes left, I'm sure you're not going to have wingers really blowing the zone and a lot of hope plays at that point. And if anything, they're using the glass more than anything else. But I think that's Maurice said it too yesterday. How did he put it? It was quite good. He said both teams, there's not a lot of BS with both teams.
Yeah, he said that after the game too. Yeah,
and what he meant by that was there's the management, the puck plays, like there's no drop passes, we'll try to do something special. There's none of those little rinky-dinky plays that drive coaches crazy during the regular season, and that's why he said the games are so good, is because of the no BS throughout that. Everyone's making the right plays, getting it deep when there's nothing else. When the plays are there, they're making them, which is crazy. But they are managing the game to a point because they know that those types of mistakes can be the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah. He said no BS. He said both teams play an honest game.
The honest game. Yeah.
The puck goes to the right spot. I think he said after game one that he didn't like a couple decisions they made at the offensive blue line, but generally, and we've seen this, the Oilers do this, Florida does it. I mean, they rim the puck like a pass.
Yeah.
Like it's not as if the winger's going down the middle of the ice and they say, well, now we got to go.
No.
Like they're already reading that, okay, this is how we're going to get things going.
The amount of indirect passes that both teams make is quite formidable, actually. Like a lot of teams aren't able to anticipate that, and that's part of being, both groups have been together for quite a long time too. Yeah. So they're reading and the play and at a very elite level.
And is that all part of it too? Because we've talked a lot about how offensive players, or when a team is attacking, they try to get the goalie to move side to side. I mean, even moving the defense from one side to the other, you're hoping somebody
opens up.
I mean, even the winning goal in the Four Nations faceoff. I mean, Makar just rimmed the puck was. The faceoff was the offensive left wing. It goes around to Makar. He shoots it back, and then Matthews doesn't get to McDavid in time. And he's like, you're trying to get a guy just get caught up a little bit.
Even Marner recognizes that the puck's on the right side with Makar. He goes to the corner anticipating that, right? Like that's an actual play now. Where and I think the way he described it, I knew I had to get like my butt up against the boards and pick it up off my skate and do all these things because that was, that's what you want to do. You want to, as the play moves from one side, you want to move it to the other and hopefully open something up because there's a huge shift from the defensive side.
Okay, Joaquin, Gage, Reid, Wilkins here on the Oil Stream. Dustin Nielson, he's doing football tonight. He's got football.
Jeez, this
started
guy.
last night. That was a pretty good game, actually. Ottawa Sask.
I couldn't watch, unfortunately.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And then Tom will be back for the 5 o'clock pregame show.
Okay.
Coach Mike writes in. He says, "Have the Oilers figured out Bob?" So Bobrovsky. I assume he means Bobrovsky and not other Bobs. Okay. My gut says to say no. But I'm curious to ask, because I brought this to you up off air, and I was like, Gager, I don't know. I haven't counted. As goalies get beat, I don't believe you have to beat a goalie to death for every single goal that goes in. But I noticed last year in the Cup final, there were a few goals as the series went on where an Oiler player got the puck over the left pad, and a puck actually hit the underside.
Which it did of
Bobrovsky's wrist and went in. Now, I also know that's a place to shoot. I mean, Nuge puts the puck right over the height of the pad. A lot of guys with great wrist shots. But it's just interesting to me on Bobrovsky how many actually, and I noticed a few others in the playoffs, actually hit his left wrist and go down.
In that 7 or 6 hole, right?
Does he play with his left hand higher?
He does.
Other than
he does. There's always subtle adjustments you make as a goaltender depending on where goals have gone on you. He holds his glove a little bit higher to looks like what takes away the top part of the net, right? His feet are amazing. Like the way he can use his pads. I think he even intercepted a pad or a pass with his pad in the second period, right? He read it and he's able to direct it to where he wants to. And I mean, all NHL goalies can do that, but it's one thing to do it like in practice consistently. It's another thing to do it in the Stanley Cup finals too, right?
Yeah.
Now, have they figured Sergei out? I said this before. There's not a goalie on the planet that the Edmonton Oilers are scared of. Right? Maybe not scared is the right word, but just that gets into the psyche of their thinking, well, I got to do something special to get the puck past this guy. they've always found a way to kind of humanize goaltenders or make them just as good goalies.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the shift in shot selection. I do think that it got to a point in the Dallas Stars series, the way Stuart Skinner was playing, where they were deferring some shots, where most of the time Dallas Stars would get it in that spot and rip it. And that showed me that he was getting into the mind of these shooters, saying, "Oh, he's set up. I'm not going to be able to beat him here." Right. So I don't find they have. They know they can score on him. They have in the past, but I've never seen for 2 years now, going up against the elite goaltenders, and even when they're playing well, I haven't seen a huge shift in their shot decision making. Maybe in the regular season you saw, there's a lot of times where you thought they could shoot, right? And they deferred and tried to maybe pass it into the net a little bit more. But no, I don't think it's a matter of solving Bob. It's just not treating him as just another player. We're going to score goals. That's just the way they think.
Yeah. Joaquin, Gage, Reid, Wilkins with you on the Oil Stream. We are in the Popeyes studio, the new value menu at Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen. You got 5-piece nuggets, you got fried pickles, mini chicken wrap, mini chicken sandwich, and my favorite, the blackened cauliflower. I get it with the blackened ranch dip.
I've never had those. I got to try them.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah.
Cauliflower is one of those vegetables that I feel it doesn't have a great reputation, but if it's prepared in a certain way, Brussels sprouts are the same way. If you can get Brussels sprouts and fry them up, and sometimes you can get them even with bacon and apple.
No, I brought them in. I brought them in. Did you ever have some? I think no.
I can't remember if I had.
Oh, I had nuts in there. I had. Yeah.
Oh, sometimes they might put an almond or a walnut or something.
I had.
Maybe I don't even know.
I had nuts in there. So next time I won't.
But Brussels sprouts, I feel, are another vegetable that gets a bad rap. I feel that can be quite good are beets, like beets with like a horseradish sauce or something. They're really good.
Yeah, I do. I truly like Brussels sprouts, but what I do instead of mashed potatoes, I make a cauliflower mash.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
and it's people can't tell the difference. They go, "Oh, these are great mashed potatoes." I go, "They're not potatoes.
Yeah,
it's cauliflower." And then I go, "What?" I mean, I doctor it up a little bit.
Well, you have to. But no, cauliflower has its uses.
Oh yeah.
By the way, that's all for $4 plus tax. They are perfect snackable items that can round out your favorite Popeyes meal. I have done that. I did that when did we broadcast for Popeyes? A couple of weeks ago now.
What wasn't there?
Was it game 4 against Dallas?
I think it
was a home. It was a home game.
It was. Yeah.
Because I went from Popeyes to Rogers Place. Yeah, and it wasn't the matinee, so I think it was game 4. Because game 3 was the matinee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that Tuesday. Yeah. Anyway.
That was hot.
Ooh, now we're all hungry.
Starving.
It was hot that day. It was very hot that day.
Felt like I was in the fryer.
Yeah. The one good thing, speaking of heat, because I've talked in the past, and you've experienced this, is how cold the press box, the media level.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Rogers Place as a building.
It's freezing.
Can be cold. But now that I get there later, I don't have to experience, because it does warm up when people get in there. Yeah. But when I was doing Ched, so for a regular season game, the face-off show would be 90 minutes before the game, but I'd be there 90 minutes to 2 hours before the face-off show. Yeah. So if it's a 7:00 game, I'm getting there 3:34, and there's hardly anybody there.
Yeah.
So I had my coat on the entire time doing my prep up in the press box. Yeah. I got these gloves, but where your fingers could come out so I could hold.
You got Rocky gloves, Rocky's gloves on?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the bubble year. That's when I started doing the panel with Gene. So it was Gene and I, the team, everyone, and that's it, right? So very skeleton crew in there. And I was worried because I was so cold that I think my lips started going blue, and I was chattering and I was shaking. It was so bad. I had to get up and run on the spot for a bit. It's freezing in there.
Yeah. No fans that year, which was obviously unfortunate for all the people who couldn't go. From a viewing standpoint, we were pretty lucky because we got moved down to loge level.
Oh, right.
Which, if you could ever afford it, those are the best spots to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wore a toque and a winter jacket the entire game. Yeah. There was no point taking it off. I would put my headset on over my toque.
It was like watching a game at Grand Trunk.
Yeah. That's true. Anyway, game coming up tonight. It'll be that 6:20-ish face-off time once again between the Oilers and the Panthers. Again, no lineup changes expected for the Oilers at the morning skate. McDavid and Draisaitl were not on the same line. Stuart Skinner was one of the many Oilers who answered questions today from the media. This was a little interesting because there are a lot of goalies who say they will not do interviews on game days before the game. There was an incident several years ago, probably 18-19 season, maybe 17-18. Al Montoya wouldn't speak on the game. Remember, he was briefly here. Al Montoya wouldn't do an interview after the morning skate, wouldn't do a scrum after the morning skate. And our buddy Ryan Rashog took a bit of a shot at how weak-minded do you have to be, thinking that answering a few questions will wreck your night. And then I remember the post-game scrum, Ryan asked a question, and Montoya went, "Someone else, someone else." Almost like the Bueller or like a teacher in Ferris. Was that in Ferris Bueller?
Yeah.
Anyone? Yeah. Sort of like that. Skinner just does it, and there are other goalies that do it.
I don't think Bob does it, does he?
I don't think he does.
No.
Maybe it's more common. Most goalies here have been pretty good, from what I remember.
Did Mike Smith? I want to say he didn't.
Maybe he didn't.
I don't think he did. I was I was shocked anyone ever wanted to talk to me, but I would have done it. But even when I was playing, I don't think it was that interesting for anyone to talk to me. And no, it's whatever. I mean, I like Stuart Skinner's. I like when he says it because again, there's no BS when he talks. He gives it. He's quite honest with everything. I think, right? But I don't know what are you going to ask the goalie before the game? I'm going to try to go stop all the pucks. I mean, it would depend on the player. I think if you could get a Stuart Skinner and he's willing to speak, yeah, sure, because he's probably going to give you something that's relevant to the game. But I don't. It doesn't make sense to me, really. If you want to do it, fine. If you don't, that's also fine. I remember Ryan doing that, and maybe I was still too close to being a goalie and not in the media, and I was like, what are you doing here, man? Like, and I think that I even said something about it later. But talk about weak-minded, Ryan. Jeez.
Yeah. Anyway, Skinner hangs in there and usually answers a lot of questions and does his best to answer them as honestly as he can. All right, coming up on 12:30 here, Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. So there are new codes for the month of June. You can put them in with your account on playalberta.ca. If you deposit $20 or more, you can use the promo code EST Casino and get a $50 casino bonus. This is for new and existing players. You can put in $20 to get a free $50 sports bet, and the code for that one is EST Sports. So for that $50 free sports bet, you got to use it on one bet.
Yeah.
So you got to place a $50 free bet on something. I did one. I used the free bet in May. You could bet on the golf. What happened here? Did he chip that in
from there?
From up a slope in the cabbage?
Cavello just birdied this hole from up on the side of the hill, and it went in. This. Sorry if you're listening.
This will be in the highlights later.
Yeah, this will be like watch.
They cut away from it.
Jeez.
But he's like in the spot where I would hit my approach to.
Oh yeah, I'd still be looking for it in there.
Yeah, we would have been like, yeah, I'll just drop Gager. Yeah, I'll take a penalty. Or even if I found it, I'd be like, you know what, Gager, unplayable.
I can't believe that just happened. I was like, oh my god.
How would he slow down the ball? It must have rattled off the flagstick.
No, it slowed and went straight in. They got to show it. They got to
show a replay. We're talking about Canadian Open. I don't even know that golfer, Cavello.
I don't know all of them. I can't believe they're not showing it. Maybe
they got to go back to it.
Jeez.
Because he would have been, 15 feet above the hole?
Easily.
And
probably about 10 meters away above the hole.
Yeah.
In complete long grass. Like you couldn't see their feet coming out of there. I can't believe.
Well, hopefully they show it.
Jeez.
Anyway, playalberta.ca. I used my free bet last month to take the over on the Elks' wins this season. Nine or more wins. I figured, why not have some faith they'll be at least 500?
Well, you hope so.
With new guys in place.
We had Nick Anderson on the...
Yeah, he's great, eh?
Oh, so good. I heard this morning, like, possibilities of Defensive Player of the Year.
I read some of the predictions they did on. I think 3 Down Nation did a whole bunch. His name came up a whole bunch of times, which was pretty good. They unveiled the new jerseys.
Yeah,
I mean, the Elks never do a drastic jersey change, but it's just more like the gold numbers are back on the home jerseys. Yeah, which is a little more traditional. I've always loved when they have the multi stripes on the sleeve, like the Riley team that won in 2015. Had those.
It looks more like a jersey. I don't like practice jersey looking jerseys. You know,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
we're always peeking over at the ESTV here to see if they show that, because I just turned and it was rolling in, so I didn't quite see the whole thing.
Who cares about this guy's little 4 foot for par? Oh,
it's,
right.
It's
okay.
Hughes.
Yeah, sorry, Hughesy, as we call him.
As we call him, growing up when Gage and I used to hit the range with him.
Oh, he got it too. Okay, come on. Just show this.
Show the replay.
Show this.
Maybe Cavello has a no replay clause in his contract.
Maybe he doesn't.
He'll do interviews, but he won't do. They can't show replays.
They're not
of the
even
shot.
showing it. This is ridiculous.
Maybe it wasn't that good.
This is one of the greatest shots I've ever seen.
Maybe he threw it. Maybe you missed him lobbing it into the hole. It's actually a violation. All right. Oilers and Panthers coming up tonight. We are with you here on the Oil Stream. See, doing too many shows.
Too many.
Now, a couple of people were telling us they hate cauliflower on the text line, 780-218-9999. I don't want to talk about goalie interference. A couple people texting about that, so we're not going to. Is that fair? Sorry, everybody, but like some things I'm just like, all right.
No, I think we addressed what happened yesterday. I agree with the call. I know that, gosh, someone on the show said Bennett took out the Leafs goaltender, right?
Oh,
Stolarz with the same type of play. But that was a little bit different. Like he was coming across, that didn't look like much too, when he kind of rubbed the back of his hand on the back of his neck. So, but look, he's one of the players that definitely the Edmonton Oilers have to be aware of, because he's kind of a throwback too of those guys that just, and I think I said it, that just have no regard for human life. Like I know they're like, him and Connor grew up together, but if the chance presents itself to lay a good licking on Connor, he'll do it. You know, he'll do anything to win. They have to find something to slow him down, try to get him off his game. And that's what they're doing. I think the Oilers are a very professional, team in the way they approach being hard on the other team's skill. I find they've been doing that consistently for 2 years now, really. And they have to keep doing that. They can't let guys off the hook, because again, I do believe one of the main factors of them winning that game last night or the other night was their consistent pressure on guys. And when you feel that pressure all the time, you get the puck in your own end, you just, I'm going to get hit, turn around, try, and you're rushing, and the puck goes over the glass, and all of a sudden you lose the game. Yeah. That's something that I think you build up from the drop of the puck. And of course, in a 7-game series, you consistently just keep pressuring. You make guys start making mistakes because they don't want to get hit.
Yeah. All right. Some other news to talk about today. Peter DeBoer fired as the head coach of the Dallas Stars. So this is the amazing thing about hockey. The guy makes the conference finals 3 years in a row, goes 108, 113, and 106 points, and he's fired. Interesting to track his career, and we're going to tie this into another coach, Gager, that you and I were talking about. Some people might even be able to guess who we're going to sort of link DeBoer with. So DeBoer starts in Florida in 08-09. Would have been relatively young. Will has still been in his 30s. Out of junior, right? I think he was Kitchener. Yeah. Misses the playoffs for 3 straight years. They actually got worse every year. They went from 93 to 77 to 72. He joins the Devils right for the next season, goes to the Stanley Cup final, loses to the Kings, does the shortened season in 12-13, misses the playoffs again, starts the next season, almost halfway, gets fired. Okay? Gets picked up by the Sharks for 15-16, goes to the Cup final, loses to the Penguins, is beaten by the Oilers when they're back in the playoffs in 16-17. Second round, conference finals, lost to the Blues team. That might have been one of the games. That might have been the series you and I watched together, our infamous bonding night on Inside Sports. Might have been a St. Louis San Jose game. Starts 19-20 with San Jose, gets fired. So he lasted almost 4.5 seasons there. Gets picked up by Vegas shortly after being fired by San Jose. Conference finals lost to Dallas. Conference finals lost to Montreal in the bubble year when the divisions were all over the place. Misses the next season with 94 points in Vegas. Gets fired and then goes to Dallas. So this is a 3 to 4 year guy. Like, so what happens? Does it wear out? Can he just not meet the expectations, or the players grumbling and saying, "Okay, Pete helped us enough"? Is this the Ottinger thing?
Oh, I think a lot is the Ottinger thing. Let's face it was like, I understand the decision to make that, but it wasn't a great time to take out the guy that you've been heaping so much praise on for so long. If you really knew the guy, you would probably think he would bounce back even in that situation. And look, I think that was part of it. Maybe it was the team, what have you. But Jim Nill, I think what he saw in that game was one coach that you, on the other side, that half the time you look for just to see if he has a pulse. He's so calm back there. And it was, DeBoer came a little bit unhinged, and that's not what you want from your coach when all the chips are in an elimination game. And they've seen it enough. And you know what? It's interesting that he gets fired, but I think a lot had to do with the Ottinger. Ottinger's going to be there for the next 8 years. So it's kind of that there's a rift there. I don't think is good with your number one all-star goaltender. The firing in Vegas was the one that surprised me because they looked like a really good team. And so now when you mention it's 3 to 4 years, does his message get worn out early? Like he becomes the Charlie Brown's teacher eventually, and that's it seems what he is. He's good to come in with the close to the finished product, right? But it doesn't last long. I guess it's interesting, very interesting. But again, Dallas had some injuries too. Right? Yep. His Heiskanen wasn't at 100%. Hintz, obviously, a lot of guys came back from injuries there. I don't know what their injury report was at the end of the year, but no, I think if they made this decision so quickly, I think everything depended on if they got to the Cup or not. So if they didn't, he probably wasn't going to be back, and just the fact that what happened with Ottinger it went from pencil to pen pretty quick.
So the coach that I'm going to compare him to is Peter Laviolette, who is a little bit older and started coaching in the NHL 7 years before DeBoer. But Laviolette, 2 years with the Islanders, 4 1/3 with Carolina, including the Cup win over the Oilers. 4 years and 3 games with Philadelphia. He got fired after an 0-3 start. Went to the Cup final, somewhat surprisingly, in the first year with the Flyers against Chicago. Nashville, 5.5 years, Cup final loss. Washington, 3 years. And then Rangers, only 2 years. So Laviolette, 1, 2, 3, has coached 6 teams, and he's probably going to get 7. Maybe he gets hired in Dallas. And DeBoer's coached 5 teams and is probably going to wind up with 6. Now, Laviolette's tenures are a little bit longer. And generally, where he goes, the teams get better. And he's gone to Cup Finals, and he's won the Stanley Cup. I guess I just sort of compare these guys, and maybe we're seeing another generation of coaches that might be the guys who are always popping up. But these guys, like they don't go away; they succeed. But there seems to be a point after 3 or 4 years where the GM or maybe some of the players are like, he's good, but we don't really want him anymore.
Yeah, and I have experience with Laviolette. One year when I tried to play on as many American Hockey League teams as possible, he was the coach in Providence and was great. Like, what a motivator. I had a lot of respect for the way he talked to his players. That year, I think they won the Calder Trophy that year as the American League champions. He actually said to me after one game in Lowell, Massachusetts, that he said that's one of the best goaltending performances I've ever seen. And then he cut me 2 days later, and I had to go. But he did pump my tires for a little bit. Again, another guy that has won a cup. And I just think, I mean, Slats put it best, and it's different too. I wonder. I honestly thought that he would probably be the next coach of the Boston Bruins, just because that's who gave him his start. Like, he was with the Providence Bruins, so I was thinking, he might go back to there. Just another guy that he'll get another deal because that's just the recycle bin on coaches. That's what they do. But yeah, I don't know. He's been in the league a long time. He's older now. I think sometimes the message with these younger players, I don't know how their communication skills evolve from when they started to now. And I'm sure some do, but I just find that, I talk to coaches that are done coaching now, and like Ronnie Lowe, one guy goes, I could never coach now, right? The cell phones, and it would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so those types of things, just little things like that. Whereas, a younger guy coming in, a up-and-comer, might know how to bridge that gap a little bit better. Yeah,
that's an interesting way to put it. I mean, clearly there are quote-unquote older coaches who have done well, but I think, I would say, and I'm not saying the players run the team. Like, I know old McDavid picked Jeff Jackson and Knobloch. He didn't.
Yeah.
But also the organization knew there was a connection. But it must be weird. Okay, like, I didn't really hear of this Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah.
And now he's going in and he's talking to Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Like, I think even Bilesma said that when he took over the Penguins, because he was there for the first cup, right?
Yep.
That he kind of had to be, okay, I made sure I just talked to Sid and made sure everything was okay. Because it's kind of, I'm not saying players think like, well, maybe they do. Well, it's brought up with Ottinger. He's got an 8-year whatever money contract, and not that DeBoer wasn't well paid, but it's like, well, who's the team actually committed to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've played on teams where certain players did think they were smarter than the coach, and like it's like anything. It's interesting because having a new guy come in, because I mean, Marco Sturm in Boston now, right? Former player.
Yeah.
Was assistant in LA, I believe,
for quite a while. Yeah.
Coached with the German national team, I think too. So, but again, I wonder if just because and it's not, I don't want to say you have to have played in the NHL to be a coach, right? That's not what I'm saying, but maybe it's a little bit more advantageous for a guy that's played in the NHL at an elite level and become a coach, and now can have those conversations with star players because he probably played with them
right
at a certain point, instead of a guy, coming up just a lifetime coach and getting to the highest level and then going. I don't want to say starstruck, but I don't know how you're not when you get into a room and all of a sudden there's Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but in Knoblaugh's case, he's grown up with Connor too, in a sense, having him in junior, right?
Other, yeah.
So, I guess it doesn't really.
I did find
win.
Just win, which Knobloch's been doing. And I did find it interesting yesterday when Knobloch was asked about potential adjustments or things like that. Okay, well, now you've seen Florida, so now you can really game plan for Florida. And he said, well, you look at tendencies, but Knobloch said, I don't overload my players with information. I don't want them to have analysis paralysis. And I think that's what he has been good at. And when we talk about pushing the right buttons, I mean, clearly you prepare for the opponent. Like if you see a team is scoring 70% of their goals a certain way, of course you're going to show video for that for your team. But I don't think he wants to get down to like, hey, this guy does this 41% of the time, and this guy does this 80% of the time. And maybe that's why we've seen when a player has come into the lineup, they've usually come back in and played well. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder if, the core of Knobloch's message is, there's a reason you're in the NHL. You just do that.
Yeah.
Because Perry Kapanen, skate, hit.
Yeah.
The goals will come if you do that. Like, I'm not going to say go out and score. I'm going to say go out and do the foundational things that made you an NHLer.
And I think that's what Knobloch said when he first took over the team, right? Then that was rumblings of one of the downfalls of Woodcroft was he was overloading these guys with 8-9 things. And not that Knobloch threw him under the bus or anything, but he just said, I just wanted, like, coming in halfway, you can't really implement all your systems and things. I just gave them 1 or 2 things to start doing, right? And it seems like that's what he's been doing all the time. He doesn't give them 8-9 things. And like you said, so a new guy coming in doesn't, I got to go here if this is here, if that guy, okay, we're playing a different system now. It's just more reacting and doing things that made you successful and the reasons why you made the NHL in the first place, right? So simple is always better to me anyways. As you know, Reid, I'm a simple guy. And
simplify.
and simplify it. So, and it's a recipe for success.
Yeah, and he's talked a lot about just instinct too. And I remember that when he was hired, where he said when he watches Oilers, I can't remember exactly what he put it, but he basically said he saw the players that didn't look like they were having fun.
Yeah.
They didn't look like they were feeling. I don't know if he used the word fun, but he did say
it was something
that
along
looked
those
like
lines.
a little bit of confidence.
Yeah.
So if you tell a guy go out and do what you do, and he does it, and the coach keeps giving you ice time, then you're going to keep doing that.
Exactly.
Right? And then that's kind of all built from there. All right, into the final 5 or 6 minutes here of the Oil Stream. It is presented by Boston Pizza. Tom Gazzola will be at Boston Pizza for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show on Monday at 5 o'clock. Today, Tom will be at the Ice House in Ice District Plaza for pre and post. Hernan's on the show. Gager's on the show. I'll be on the postgame show. Oilers and Panthers, 6 o'clock. I guess more of that 6:20 puck drop. What did you think about Skinner's comment too, where he said last year when he saw the cup on the ice, he got all oogly-eyed or something like that, and now it was just like, okay, that's the cup.
I think it's one of the Jenga pieces of learning how to win, right? Seeing it last year. Stuart Skinner, the googly eyes. Yeah, you're so close. You can't believe it, right? And the workmanlike professionalism from last year to this year is evident throughout every player, I think, and no better person to take that approach than your goaltender. I loved it. And it's just oozing that. You look at Connor and Leon in their press avails after, nothing's completed yet. We're still on the job site working on the project. That's what it seems like to me with these guys. I loved that comment. I thought it was great. How do you not get too excited in that point? And then you learn from that. Look, I'm not here just to sit in a press conference looking over at the Stanley Cup. I'm here to win this thing.
All right, so game coming up tonight. Something I am going to watch for, Gager.
Yeah.
And this has applied to other Oilers opponents in the postseason, is how they distribute ice time. Because there were 3 defensemen for the Florida Panthers that played quite a bit more. And then the fourth was kind of average. And the bottom pairing, I don't think their two bottom pairing guys even made 20 minutes in an 80-minute game.
Yeah.
Whereas the Oilers had Bouchard, and then everybody else was between like 22 and a half and 25, which was pretty interesting. And we saw in some of the Oilers series and games that they took advantage of players who maybe were being overused or were fine playing those minutes against opponents who weren't against as good as the Oilers. But so that's what I'll watch for tonight, is how Maurice distributes some, and even with that fourth line a little bit, is how Maurice distributes some of the ice time. What are you looking at?
That's a good one. I want to see body language of the goaltenders. That's kind of the first thing I look at. The who allows the first goal, right? I think it's key for the Oilers to keep rolling here. Chip away at the confidence of. I mean, you're not going to erode it completely, but just what you want to do to Bobrovsky, right? Make it a little bit more difficult. Not that he played well last game, but I think you can make his life a little bit more difficult with traffic, because he is that aggressive goaltender that loves to get out and stuff. If you can lock him in with body positioning and things like that, having guys go to the net a little bit more, have him worried about placement of rebounds or where it's going to go. I think the Oilers can do a little bit better job of that. But I like what you say. Like, we've seen it for 3 rounds now. The wearing down of opponents, where that look of, you know what, this one's done. Well, let's move on to the next game.
Right.
And we saw that, and I think with Pietrangelo maybe the camera was on him a lot, but there were certain times in a third period in games where it just looked like he was. I don't want to ever say he's done, but he had just conceded that battle and was moving on to the next one.
I like what you say too, and the Oilers did wind up with almost 50 shots over, a game with an extra period. But I wonder, if Knobloch is looking for little things to stress and not overload them. So the first goal of the game, Wallman, who has a hard shot, just kind of a flutter one on net. Bob doesn't handle it. Kapanen's fighting for it. Kane's fighting for it. It gets tipped over to Leon, who swoops in and scores. And then certainly that Arvidsson goal, you would think would make the Oilers say, just get a screen, any type of a screen. Yeah. Get a screen. Like, that one worked. Very simple play.
The simple things. Like, as kids, your coaches say, like, you come over the line, center drive. What does that do? You go to the net, draws a defenseman. So there's 2 bodies. If that puck can get in that shooting lane with traffic, they're assisting you in screening the goaltender. So I'd like to see more of that. I like that play. I don't like the fanning out for the one-timer. I would rather see traffic, because you saw what it did. When that happens, you're like, okay, that guy's coming. If the puck, I got to make sure I don't put the puck over there. If there is a rebound, I got to keep it on this side, and it just creates a little bit more of the goaltender have to think a little bit more of what's going to happen for that second save opportunity.
I'll also look at, probably for both teams, because both teams can forecheck, but maybe I'll concentrate a bit too on the Oilers breakout, because we know the Oilers love to regroup. Yeah. Oh, no, back behind the net again. Oh, D to D behind the net. And Florida's like, yeah, go ahead. Like, we're just going to keep coming. Like, they did bog up the Oilers a little bit when they tried that regroup.
I want to see, because I mean, it was a subtle pick by Bouchard on the winning goal, but are they going to try and, like, they did a good job of trying to get Connor to the outside on the zone entries on the power play, right? If they're going to try to maybe just eliminate him getting the puck anyway, because I remember hearing Struds say, just go stand by him. Let someone, you know what, just let him go, and then we'll work it out. But the last thing you want is him cutting through, because there's always the fear of him just cutting and going in. He backs defenders, the best on the planet, off so easily with his puck handling ability and speed.
All right, Gager, thanks.
Hey.
Always fun being on air with you. Gager's sticking around. He and Hernan have EST afternoons at the top of the hour. I'll be back at 3 o'clock for the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne. At 5 o'clock, GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola, Hernan, Gager again. Tom's going to be at the Ice House in Ice District Plaza. All right, thanks for checking out the Oil Stream. Talk to you soon.